In case this is my last post, there are a few things that I want to say. I've got it written down because I don't want to forget anything, and I feel like I've lost brain cells from all of this. As some of you may know, I've been battling some really serious health issues this year. Long story short, I was kicked by a horse, I got blood clots in my lungs, and after 7 months of being on blood thinners and all sorts of medications, I've actually gotten worse. I've been diagnosed with CTEPH, which is chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension. Most people who have blood clots get better with blood thinners, but I'm part of the unlucky 1% of people who don't. So this is a very rare disease where blood clots have cemented themselves into my lungs. Blood cannot pass through my lungs, which has put extreme pressure on my heart. And the right side of my heart has been swelling and failing since January. Over that time, I've gotten worse because my heart is trying to compensate for the extra workload of getting blood around my body, and my body's just become so exhausted. I look normal on the outside, but on the inside, I'm all sorts of messed up. It's truly a miracle that I haven't actually just dropped dead already. I'm very lucky to be alive. My health deteriorated a lot since getting back from America, and now it's at the point where I can barely walk from the car to the front door. I'm always short of breath, coughing, and have chest tightness. My heart rate is never below 100 besides when I sleep, and my heart is so enlarged I can see and feel it beating out my chest. I've now been left with one option that could save my life, which is a pulmonary endarterectomy. This surgery is only done in Melbourne. This is a very risky open heart surgery where I'm put on a bypass machine and they cut open my lungs to remove the blood clots. They cool my blood to a hypothermic state. They take all of the blood out of my body so they can see the blood clots, and then they surgically remove them. Then I'll be in a medically induced coma until I'm able to breathe on my own again. I'm more high risk than most people who have this done. I don't know like the sciencey terms, but for example, one of the pressure markers in the heart should be at a 2. Previously, they would not operate on people above 10, and my levels were at 19, so like well above what they were comfortable operating on. But thankfully in the last 10 years things have progressed and they can operate on me, but I'm at a much higher risk. I've also been told there's a chance that the surgery could be unsuccessful and I'd remain in a coma until I can get a lung transplant. That itself makes me sick to think about because that is the last thing I want. I do not want to have to live with a lung transplant. I suppose I'm not necessarily scared of the surgery itself. I'm scared of what I'll be waking up to. Like, if all goes well, I could wake up in a week, have my own lungs and be cured, but there is a possibility that I could wake up months later and miss the Olympics and have had a lung transplant. So I really just don't want that outcome. So me and my family have to relocate to Melbourne for a couple of months, and just in case anything happens, there are a few people who I want to express my gratitude for. There are a few people that I want to express my gratitude for, and also some organisations that I'd like to call out whose negligence has led to this nightmare, and I don't want people making the same mistake that I did. I just feel like these people deserve to know they've had a positive impact on someone's life because it's not something you hear on a daily basis. So first of all, to Dakota, you've been so consistently wonderful to me, and it only takes one message and you're down to catch up or go to a random Jason Derulo concert. From when we met in reception to now, you've grown into such a confident and ambitious woman, and I'm so lucky to call you a friend. You're always there for me to call, and you're the only friend that's come to see me since all of this started. To George, I have never met anyone like you ever. We met on a cruise 2 years ago, and it was a pretty low point in my life. I was sitting by myself to leave for an excursion that I wasn't even meant to be on initially, and this radiant and joyful person sat in front of me with some trendy hat strapped on. I believe you cracked a joke and we got on immediately. I had the best day with you. Although I only spent a week with you, I had more quality time with you than some people I've known for years. You treat me with such respect and kindness, and I can be my complete self around you. You were the first person to call me when I was in hospital in America, and every day when I see a new pic of you somewhere in the world, it makes me so happy. You bring joy to everyone that you meet, and I hope that once the quarter life crisis is over, you can find a job that allows more than 6 weeks off a year. To Juan and Lou, the day we met completely changed my life. Before you, I'd never met anyone with the exact same interests as me. You showed me that I could create a career off of my passion for videography. You've showed me what's capable in life, and your work ethic is unmatched. I'm so proud of you both and all that you've achieved. To Peyton and Coda, meeting you was a miracle. You had flown all the way from New York to be on the exact same cruise as me, the exact same excursion as me. You've been consistently wonderful friends to me and always look out for me. I love the moments that we've shared together, and I can't wait to continue traveling together. There are a few other people that I also want to thank. It might seem a bit strange as we don't really speak often, but I want you to know that you've had a really positive impact on my life, and I think you're a person of great character. Sorry, my dog wants to come say hello. To Lauren Booth, you've always been so kind to me and looked out for me, especially this year, and I can't thank you enough for all you've done. Ebony Porter, I'll always cherish our friendships and the memories we've made in school. You turned my life around for the better, and you're such a great person. Amelia, we've had so many funny memories together, and you're always such a good friend to me throughout school. You're one of the only people in year 12 who treated me with respect and supported my crazy ideas, and I have you to thank for so many of the wild YouTube videos I posted back in the day. To Chelsea, I just want to say that I'm so proud of you. We were best friends throughout primary school, and I feel like you've recently found yourself more and you've come such a long way, and it makes me really happy to see you doing well. Kaya, you're genuinely such a great person. You're so talented. Honestly, like, I look up to you in so many ways. To Josh One, you're someone that I've always really respected. You're not someone who's afraid to stick to your values, and you've achieved some really great things. Aiden Parry, you're also doing some really incredible things with your life. It just seems like you're achieving really great things and doing what you want to do, which is awesome. Thank you to Angelica for being so consistently supportive and kind to me. You're someone that I really admire. You're a massive inspiration for me. To some people from the cruise group, Alex, Ethan, Cooper, Jack, Josh, Larissa, and Hannah, thank you guys for being so great to me. You were there when this nightmare started, and you've been so kind to me since. I felt like an absolute nuisance on that cruise, but you wooed me around and made me smile every day. Special shout out to Ethan, who saw me in the shops the day I got out of hospital and I almost passed out, and you drove me home. To Stephen, I know you don't have social media, but if you see this, you're an absolute legend. I also want to say thank you to the people who I haven't actually physically met, but you message me all the time, and you've just been so consistently wonderful to me for years. You know exactly who you are, and I just want to say thank you for all of your support through everything, because you've been there through the good and the bad. Thank you to everyone from Royal Caribbean and Phil Hoffman, who have also been really lovely to me this year, and for all the opportunities you've provided me. When I'm better, the first thing I'm doing is booking a Royal Caribbean cruise. Now, I don't want to end on a negative note, but before I go, there are some people and organizations I need to call out because their ignorance and lack of care has led me to be in this situation. First and foremost, the horse riding company, if I can even call it a company. I've spent many sleepless nights ripping myself apart for even looking at your horses. I knew when I arrived this felt dodgy. That fear solidified when I noticed the only guides were an 80-year-old man and a very young kid. Of course, I was the first to be put on a dodgy horse, so I had to sit there the longest. You provided zero training. On arrival, you said grab a helmet, sign this blank piece of paper, and line up. After getting on the horse, the old man said, this is how you turn. Like, he literally went like this is how you turn, off you go. So all the horses immediately followed each other in a line, like they were on autopilot. The horses rode so close to each other's arse that there was no way for me to escape or pull away. When the horse in front of me went ballistic and kicked my leg, I went into a state of shock because of the extreme pain. There was no staff around me. I was like in the middle of the line. There was the old man at the front. I think the young kid was all the way at the back. And I didn't want to scream because I didn't want to freak the horses out even more. And I just sat there. So when we finally got down, I stepped like on my leg and felt the immediate pressure rush. And I saw my leg and it looked like a football. And it was so swollen. It looked disgusting. And the woman in the like office little thing, she handed me a lukewarm bottle of water and told me to sit down on a wooden bench, which also had nails in it, and rip my shorts. All she did was hand me a feedback form and ask me to rate the experience. I don't know what she was expecting, but it was a 0 from me. Not once did I see a first aid kit, an ice pack, or help the slightest. Her only concern was the star rating. For the next group of morons in hospitals, I will not be giving names, as I will be taking legal action if I survive this surgery. Firstly, to the doctors in the northeastern suburbs. After I arrived back in Adelaide from that cruise, I went and saw you. My leg was swollen like a balloon. You just told me to ice it and hesitantly offered me an x-ray, but I said it is pointless because I had an x-ray on the cruise. My leg's not broken. I don't know what you're hoping to see. I actually began to pass out in that clinic. Like, my blood pressure went extremely low, pretty much collapsed like on the bed in his room. And he said, if you don't feel better soon, maybe go to the hospital. But you did not get out of your chair. You didn't check me. You didn't check my blood pressure, anything like that. We also told you that I'd be flying to America in 3 weeks. Not once did you mention blood clots. You didn't even look for it. And I've never experienced less sympathy and care from a literal doctor. So mum drove me to the local hospital because I was passing out. To said local hospital. Again, I don't know if I can name names, but it starts with an M. You can put 2 and 2 together if you live in Adelaide. When I arrived, I was rushed to resus. Your utter negligence has ruined my life. My leg was horrendous, my blood pressure was extremely low, and I was barely conscious. You did an x-ray of my leg, which I had had multiple times, and I said my leg is not broken. Blood clots do not show up on x-rays. You did not check for blood clots. You did not scan my leg. You did not do a CT scan or anything that the doctors now said they should have done. All you did was a blood test and another leg x-ray and said, it might just be a virus or something why your blood pressure is so low. Every single doctor that I've seen since January, I've shown them a photo of my leg at that exact point of time, and they said there must have been a DVT, which is a deep vein blood clot thing, in that swollen leg. Even on Google Images, if you look up DVT and leg, that is a typical photo. That is my leg. My leg looks worse than that. None of your doctors even remotely suggested to me anything about blood clots. We told you I was flying. You said, no, you'll be fine. Just walk around on the flight and wear a compression stocking to be safe. I did that. If they just pulled out an ultrasound machine or a CT scanner, you would have seen a DVT in my leg, or by that point, the blood clots could have already traveled to my lungs. I don't know, but something was wrong there because I've had the same symptoms then that I have now, and it's only gotten worse since that night. But you did not check. It is thanks to your lack of care that I hopped on that flight completely unaware of what was about to happen. After the blood clot traveled to my lungs and multiplied after the amount of activities I did in America, completely unaware of everything, I found myself struggling to breathe or even walk. I had a really bad cough, and I just thought, oh, maybe I'm just developing asthma. I went to the doctors, and thankfully they actually have educated doctors there. To the incredible doctor at Beverly Hills Urgent Healthcare, you saved my life. Immediately, he did an EKG on me and an x-ray, which showed my heart was severely enlarged and it was beating abnormally. He was concerned and he sent me straight to hospital, where I sat in the waiting room for 7 hours. 4 hours in, I could barely breathe, and I asked the reception woman if the doctors had a chance to see my test yet and when I'd be doing the next test, which I was told to do 2 hours ago. She pulled on my x-ray and EKG and said, oh, it looks pretty normal to me. You can go home if you want. But I knew that they weren't normal. I'll never forget the look of concern on that GP's face, and I was not about to ignore that and just go home. Thankfully, I didn't listen to her or I'd be dead that exact night, as 5 hours later, I went into some form of shock. By the time I was taken in, had my scans and spoke with the doctor, I was diagnosed with severe pulmonary embolisms, and in a state where more than 40% of people would have just dropped dead from. During my ultrasound, I began to lose consciousness and went into cardiac shock. My blood pressure dropped to 57/46, and that is when the doctors performed a life-saving operation where they cut open my neck, inserted a long-ass tube, and gave me a blood clot busting drug. I had a woman holding down my head on the side of the bed, and I could not stop coughing from the clots, and I had to remain completely still whilst they cut open my neck. I was rushed to ICU, where I spent my 20th birthday, and honestly, I'd never felt so alone and confused and just broken. I had no idea of the hell I was about to endure. To the doctors in America who were so incredibly kind to me and looked after me while I was completely alone across the world from my family, thank you. Thank you to Dr. Yuri and his team for making the proactive and quick decisions that saved me. Thank you to Karen and your co-workers from ICU for making my birthday special in the worst of circumstances. Thank you to the Australian named Olivia for being so kind to me and getting me a charger when my 3 Uber delivery attempts failed. To Daniel, you're a legend and you made me feel safe and understood. I really hate this topic of asking for things, but my family's having to relocate to Melbourne and stop working for multiple months because of this surgery I'm about to get. My mum's self-employed, so if she doesn't work, she has no money coming in and has to pay all of the living expenses in Melbourne and also a mortgage at home. We have a GoFundMe set up to help support my family be with me during this time, as they obviously won't leave me in a coma by myself in Melbourne. The link is in my description bio, but there's absolutely no pressure. Like, I hate asking for things. It's just there if you're wanting to support or are able to. But anyway, I hate talking about that stuff. Now to conclude, I hope this isn't the end of my journey. I'm sure I didn't go through all of this just to die on an operating table. If you can take one thing away from me, just don't waste your life. Life is so precious and it's full of unexpected turns. Set yourself dreams and goals and work to achieve them, because you can literally make anything happen. If you're physically able to do something and the only thing stopping you is your mindset or the fear of being judged, just do it. Don't let others dictate your life, because at the end of the day, you're only this young once. Be grateful for your ability to walk, run, swim, fly on an aeroplane. Don't waste time with people who don't make you feel good to be around. Don't waste time in jobs you hate or relationships that you've outgrown. As I said, life is precious and you never know what is going to happen. Also, if you're traveling, get insurance. No matter how young or healthy you are, it's never worth the risk not having it. That is all I have to really say. Once again, thank you to everyone who's supported me throughout the years. Hopefully I can see you soon. I'll have a pretty hefty scar on my chest. It's the last time we're going to see a bare chest. And may the odds be ever in my favour.